Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is Thursday, actually April Fool's Day, some say, right? April 1st, um, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. You know what time it is. It's ALLVERSE Thursdays. And we have a special show tonight dedicated to social justice, right? Dedicated to social justice. I know this is National Poetry Month. Shout out to all the poets out there. And we are going to do an ALLVERSE collaboration poem. We haven't done one in a few years. The first time we did the ALLVERSE collaboration poem, we had people contribute from literally all over the world, and it was a really powerful piece. And so we're gonna put that out. If you're on Facebook, follow us at the ALLVERSE group on Facebook, and you'll see a posting for it, and you'll be able to contribute right there in the post. And so looking forward to what's going to be created in this time and space, right? In this time and space. So it's a lot is on my mind today. It's a lot going on in my personal life, in the world. Hey, what's up, Kenny? I see you. Right on, brother. Good to see you, brother. I just need to take a moment and just connect and just bring myself present to the show and to why we do what we do. And so if you just don't mind me, let me just set the space for the show tonight. I think about, things that are on the news in terms of, a lot of folks, I'm sure, are following the Chauvin case up in Minneapolis, who had his knee on George Floyd's neck for what we learned earlier this week, 9 minutes and 29 seconds. You see some of the things that are maybe going on in the political landscape with the arguments and discussions over, do we take care of our infrastructure, right? Now, anybody knows that a house that doesn't have a solid foundation, you might as well not build the house on it. And so, the state representative that was arrested in Georgia the other day because she knocked on the door because she wanted to view the signing of this new legislation, which blew my mind. I heard the other day, which some claim enhance voters' rights, right? Enhance voters' rights. I'm still wrestling with how that's possible when, if I can't pass out water or give you food, particularly in the communities where there aren't a lot of voting machines, the process takes longer, and so forth and so forth. And we can't give you something to sustain you while you do that wait. I don't see how that enhances anything, right? So, but I'm not here to have a political commentary, but I am going to have a social commentary tonight. And there's a lot I know that's going on in my mind, in my heart. My heart has been heavy. I've got a close friend of mine I talked to today. His whole house, unfortunately, was tested positive for COVID this week. And so it's not over, right? It's not over. The pandemic is not over. I've had the opportunity to work in the school system here for this past school year. And it's been eye-opening. It's been wonderful. The kids have really poured into me generously. And I've also had an opportunity to see why certain communities, certain folks have some real disadvantages, right? Whether it be Wi-Fi insecurity, whether it be a unwillingness to connect with compassion because you want to use the excuse or the reason that you're overwhelmed, the inconsistencies and how we connect with people and give them information in the way that they get it, right, versus the way that we want to give it to them, and the effect that that's going to have on the generations and generations and generations, right? And so I'm grateful for the opportunity I've had. And that's because kids have been coming back to school. So some kids came back in the county I'm in March 1st. And then there's another group of students that started this week that were the freshmen and the seniors. And then April 12th, the 10th and 11th graders will come back. And so, kids are getting sick from playing sports. One of our teams You know, the first scrimmage game they had, after that they had to stay home for 2 weeks, right? There's another team, another school, and the whole soccer team has to stay home for 2 weeks. And so a lot is going on. And so I would be remiss if I did not connect with that, right? Thank you, Maureen, thank you. If I did not connect with that and acknowledge that, because it's on my head, it's on my heart, it's in my spirit. And I'm sure for those that are listening, whether you're listening live, you're watching the recording, I'm sure there's something that's in your mind, heart, and spirit as well. Shout out to Maureen, my buddy right there. Hey, Maureen, how you doing? And we had a great opportunity to reconnect today. And I just am always overjoyed to connect with Maureen. She just keeps me smiling. She keeps me smiling. And so she probably didn't even know that I needed a smile, right? And so that's the power of connection, because God knows, the universe knows, Allah, the great I am, knows what you need, even when we may be unwilling or unable to express it. And if we're in action, it will be delivered to us, right? It will be delivered to us. That's what I believe. At least that's what I believe. Now, this is ALLVERSE Thursdays, right? It's where we share artistry, right? And we also share engaging conversation around purpose, right? Or life's journey. And tonight we're going to do both of those things, right? And so if you haven't seen the title of the event, you see it at the bottom there, ALLVERSE Thursdays, 9/29. ALLVERSE Thursdays, 9/29. No justice, no peace. Right? And so if you're in the chat, can you just put a 9/29 in the chat for me? Just type 9/29 in the chat if you're in the chat anywhere. Even if you're looking at the replay, just type 9/29 in the chat for me, as we just want to hold space for. In this particular instance, the 9/29 relates to the amount of time that the Officer Chauvin, or ex-officer, whatever we want to call him, had his knee pressed against George Floyd's neck while he was laying with his hands behind his back, handcuffed in the concrete, face down. 9/29. No justice, no peace. Now, thank you, Leah Center. Thank you, Kenny's TV. Before we jump in and move forward with the show, I've got some exciting things planned for tonight. I want to start off as we normally do, right? Kids have been on my mind. Our youth, our future have been on my mind, just very, very powerfully. And so I dedicate the opening of this show to our future, and I want to start off with a piece that's called Young, Gifted, and Black. Young, gifted, and black. Are these children our children, in fact? We say, or they say, morals, character, and integrity they lack. The media portrays them with images that malign, not as kind spirits with intentions that are benign. We used to sing a song, a hymn of pride and strength. It was honor in those words. To learn it, we would go to great lengths. So, if we were singing the truth, then what about our youth? Aren't they that too? They are the offsprings of me and of you. Young, gifted, and black they are. And that's a goddamn fact. Young, gifted, and black. That's that piece, y'all. And there's a scripture, follow with me, cursing. I know James 1, chapter 1, verse 17 says, every good gift, and every perfect gift is from above. Let me say that again. Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above. So the question that I put forward to you is, are you gifted? And, without judgment, it's a personal question. It's a personal opportunity to take a reflection and just really connect to the conversation that you're having with yourself around a good gift and a perfect gift from above is you. So I open up with a prayer, and I want to say, thank you, Lord, for the gift of life, for allowing me to see, just one more day. Thank you for the opportunity to experience your love. I'm grateful for the privilege to receive it over and over and over again. Let me stop to hear the beauty in the song of the birds chirping outside my window. Allow me to be grateful for the rain that waters the earth so that it can produce nourishment for my body. Help me to receive that request for my help as a demonstration of you providing someone with what they need. Maybe even an answer to their prayer. Lord, help me change my thinking so that I can be grateful in every situation and see God's perfect will in everything. Amen, and so it is. Amen, and so it is. Thank you, Nia Center. A good and perfect gift from above is you. Yes, yes. Hearts, love to you, Kings TV. And so, 9:29. Now, I hadn't had the ability to watch the trial live as it's been happening. And so I've been getting recaps from my wife and then some of the news shows in the evening time. But my understanding is that before the trial took place, our brother Reverend Al Sharpton, right, who's everywhere, he's like savoir-faire, he's everywhere, had an opportunity to speak to the group before the trial. And he asked that everyone that was there and listening take a knee and stay on their knee for 9 minutes and 29 seconds. Let me say it again. He asked that everyone that was hearing what he said to the crowd and those who were listening and watching on TV to get down on one knee and stay on that knee for 9 minutes and 29 seconds. Now, I'm not going to require you to do that while you're listening to this show. You may not be in a position to do that. But I'm going to try something, right? And I'd like you to join with me, right? I'm going to try something. I'd like you to join with me if you can. Now, I've never done this before, and so I have no evidence that it's possible. I don't know what kind of demand it will require of my body, right? And 9 minutes and 29 seconds. So I'm going to ask that you place your left hand in the air, and I'll just tilt my camera up a little bit. Come on, camera, don't fall. With the fist in solidarity. And my request is that you hold it for 9:29. Now I've got the timer running, so you got about 9:20 left if you join me in this process at this point. And I will look to continue to show solidarity for not just George Floyd and the family, but for all of those who have suffered injustice, right? And we know that injustice looks a lot of ways. You know, there's certainly those that have resulted in the tragic deaths. You know, we're familiar with Breonna Taylor and what happened with the verdict there, or the young boy in Chicago that was shot 16 times and what happened with the verdict there, or George Zimmerman, who and the injustice that he put out on Trayvon Martin and what happened with the verdict there. And so we know there's no evidence that suggests that things will be different, right? And so in absence of that evidence, I believe we individually and collectively have an opportunity to do what we can, right? To use our voice, to use the gifts and talents that are available to us, to use our network, to use our influence, to use our prayer lines, to use our whatever it is that we have access to be the difference, to speak truth, not opinion, right? But to speak truth around the justice, the injustices, and wherever they may be happening. Maybe it's in your workplace. Maybe there's somebody who's doesn't have someone to advocate on their behalf and is always despised or talked about or they're stealing their ideals or you know the situation. We use our voice. Maybe it's a kid in the school system. We use our voice. Maybe it's a family member or a close friend who is having a rough time. Use our voice. We do what we can in solidarity. See, because no just us, they say justice, just us. With no just us, no peace. So I believe we can. I don't know how. I don't know what exactly it looks like. And I don't have to. What I have to do is have a willingness to be in action around it and moving forward. And so as we approach the 3-minute mark, and I tell you, my shoulder is starting to ache. 9 minutes and 29 seconds. If you're just joining us, we're asking you to hold your hand up with a fist in solidarity for justice for 9 minutes and 29 seconds. And I do have a timer in front of me. I haven't figured out how to have that on the screen, but we're about 3.5 minutes, a little bit past that at this point. So as I go on with the show, what I wanted to do tonight is I've had a number of shows. I've actually had 22 episodes over the past 5 months. 22. That's pretty. I think that's pretty amazing. I'm going to toot my own horn here with that. 22 episodes over the past 5 months. And in that time, I've had an opportunity to have world-renowned artists, professors, music producers, movie producers, authors, visual artists, graphic artists, vocalists, spoken word artists, and the list goes on, right? And God has really blessed this show for people to be a yes, to come on and not only share their gifts, share their verses, but to share their journey and their purpose, right? And a couple of the shows that I've had, we've had a particular conversation around justice or injustice, right? We had one show where we had an elegy of George Floyd was shared with us, right? Shared with us by Dr. Oludemini Ogunaki. Now, I probably said his name wrong. They call him Dr. O. He teaches at the University of Virginia, got his PhD and all the other degrees from Harvard. Young brother from Africa who came over to the United States early on as a child, has really had an opportunity to have a big impact. Not only is he a professor, he's very active in social justice. And so we're going to share the live presentation of the elegy to George Floyd tonight during the show. We also had the opportunity, I believe we opened, it might have been the opening show, with my man, Black Ice. Shout out to Chicago, shout out to POET, right? People of Extraordinary Talent, the organization that he founded and started, which is a worldwide organization right now. Black Ice is a spoken word artist, but phenomenal. He's much more than that. He volunteers in the schools and helping kids to inspire them, right? And also teach them some of the trades of what he does as an artist and how to do it and how to be good at it. He's won several awards, and we had an opportunity to see some of his showmanship on one of the shows where he was driving and saying a poem, right? And so, and it was about justice. And then I did a show sometime a few months ago called Artists, Activism, and Poetry, right? And we featured a number of artists who've been known for their activism, like Maya Angelou, right? And I'm Not Your Negro, right? What's this my sister name? Sanchez, right? Sister Sanchez, and some others, right? About justice, right? And for some reason, I didn't plan that, script that out that way to happen. Let me get my arm back up. I didn't plan it that way. However, it was meant to happen, right? And I was thinking about 9/29 earlier this morning when I was doing my devotional meditation. I said 9/29. So 9 is like the 6 turned upside down. Yet the 6, instead of protecting us, they lining us up like at the circus and they shooting us down like the clowns. The 2020, y'all, but my vision ain't really clear, because what I saw in 2020, this created a whole bunch of fear. And then 2021, they say we will win, and right now it's March, and it seems like the same stuff is starting to happen again. 9, like a 6 turned upside down. It's supposed to protect us and have our backs. They lining us up and just shooting us down, down, down. So 9/29 is the theme for tonight. 9/29 is the theme for tonight, right? And just us. If no us, it's no justice, right? And we get to use our voice. We get to use everything that we are given to us, and whatever form of belief you have, whether it was the Big Bang or the creation theory, whatever it was, because if you came from an atom that exploded and it created all of this, including mankind, that was an awesome atom. If you believe in the creation story and this divine guidance figure said, "And let there be," and it was, that's an awesome divine being. Whatever it is, it's in us. And so it is us if we access it. So we're at about 8:46. 8:46. And I'll tell you, this is tough, right? This is tough. Now, all I'm doing is holding my arm in the air in solidarity for the injustices that have been taking place. Not just last year, not just last weekend, as we heard about the young boy that was shot in was Virginia Beach, and what they said was, hey, first people said he didn't have no weapon. Then somehow, some way later, they said, well, there was a weapon found in the vicinity. Ain't that something? Right. Well, what was Wisconsin, as we saw a few months before that? I mean, the list goes on. I can't even name all the places where it's taking place. 9/29, y'all. We had 9/29. Go ahead and please put your arm down. For those that join me, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Right. And so I want to go ahead and jump into this, right? I want to jump into this real powerful, real strong. And the first piece I want to share with you is related to some old revolutionaries, right? Some old revolutionaries. And you all may have heard them referred to as the last poets, right? You may know some familiar names like Gil Scott Heron, right? That was a part of that group, right? And whatever it was that you may be familiar with, I don't know, when's the last time you maybe have heard them, right? When is the last time you maybe have heard them? And so what I want to do right now is just share a piece from the last poets. And I think it's really perfect for the moment.
Comes, right? And when the revolution comes. And so he wrote that in response to that. But I want to just play just a few more seconds of this Gil Scott Heron. If you don't mind, let me just jump forward on here. It's right around here, because I think he ends it with some powerful phrases. Check out Gil.
Back after a message about a white tornado, white light. Don't have to worry about a dove in your bedroom, the tiger in your tank, or the giant in your toilet bowl. The revolution will not go better with Coke. The revolution will not fight germs that may cause bad breath. The revolution will put you in the driver's seat. The revolution will not be televised, will not be televised, will not be televised, will not be televised. The revolution will be no rerun, brothers. The revolution will be live.
Yeah, the revolution will be live. It'll be no rerun, brother.
Revolution will be live. So revolution. I mean, are we ready for revolution? Are we ready to put it on the line to have things be different? Will you ever be ready? Is there such a thing as being ready? Or is it just a requirement to be willing? Right? And so what we talked earlier is using these artists use what they had, their gift, their talent, to bring forward and activism, to speak, to use their voice, right? And now we know that that was in the 60s, and there was Black Power movement was strong in the 60s, and many are recently probably familiar with, at least heard about it. They haven't seen Judas and the Messiah, right? The story of my homeboy chairman of the board, Fred Hampton, right? And his assassination, and his buddy that was his right-hand security guy that was right there that betrayed him. So, similar to they talked about in the story that the person that was killed in Connecticut, the security guy was the infiltrator. Similar to what we hear in the documentary about Malcolm X, that the security guy was the infiltrator. I mean, it goes on and on and on. Their playbook hasn't changed. Same plays. And they're willing to do it. We saw what happened on January 6th. I mean, the something like they were doing, like, like more and more stuff comes out later. The officer I was watching the story on, I think it's CBS. This Is Our Nation, I believe, is the name of the powerful. This Is Our Nation, and they had the opening episode. The officer. One of officers from the Capitol, big brother, probably like 6'4", 6'5", and he was talking about after the end, he was sitting down on the stairs later that night with another coworker, and he says, "Man, and this is the America that we defend. I mean, our job is to defend this America, and they tried to kill us all day." And so I say that to say that it's time, because the revolution, if you're waiting for it to be televised, you're waiting for it to be popular, you're waiting for a sit-in on a bus, or you're waiting for the garbage workers strike to be interrupted because people come from all over the country and march across the bridge. You might just be waiting and keep on waiting. See, change comes through action. And each of us has got something that we can give. You may not have to be out there in the streets or down at the lobbying or at the government, but you've got some action you could be taking. You could be sharing some message with somebody. You could be doing something to make a difference for somebody behind us. Because it's clear that the other's commitment is not waning. It's not going away. It's not dissipating. It's not less than it was 400 years ago. Right? And so the call forward is to let the revolution be internalized, whether it's televised or not. 9/29. 9 turned upside down was a 6. 6 means they're supposed to protect us, but they just beating on us with them sticks. 9/29. So want to move on, right? I want to move on. The next piece I want to bring to you is actually brought to you by my man Black Ice, king of poetry, as I talked about, and he's very active in the social justice scene, not just Chicago, but across the country, and goes and uses his gifts, right, to use his voice to make a difference. And so I want to share an excerpt from when he was on the show of a poem he did, right? Now, I think it's pretty interesting because when he did this poem, he did the first half while he was driving his car, right? And he was in Chicago, and he had some things that delayed him being able to get to be in front of his computer. So he came into the show on his phone from his car. And I tell you that it was pretty amazing to me. One, and the poetry is just dope. So I think it's worth another hear. And so I'd like to play that for you now. So give me a second. Black Ice.
Oh, man, look, rule number 5, baby. I'm always prepared.
All right, let's give him a little something while you're driving, man. And then we'll talk a little bit about who you are.
Hey, I want to make sure that you guys can. I want to make sure you guys can hear me without it breaking up. You good? We good?
Right now, we perfect.
Okay, let me tell y'all about my city, Chicago. Already over 1,000 people shot this year. Do your math, that's more than double the days there are in a year mothers fear their babies not making it home from school. Unemployed brothers ain't got time to look for a job, but got time to be on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, acting a fool. And these gangs out here ain't following no rules. They ain't got no structure, but they know exactly what they were doing when they denied parole for Jeff Ford and Larry Hoover. See, there's an old saying, cut off the head and the body would fall. Let this be a lesson to all y'all, and I'm a part of some of these Chicago artists who boast to the world on how their lyrics be so cold. And some of them get right on stage and talk about how God saved their soul, but won't get out here and go to none of these schools or get out here on none of these streets to even try to save just one soul. And the church, if you really there to help save lives, then let me make a proposal. If the church you attend ain't involved in community affairs to help save lives, then damn it, stop paying your tithes. And as for the Black Lives Matter movement, you didn't think I was going to let you off the hook, did you? I believe that Black lives matter, but when a Black life is going to matter to Black people? March in the hood like you do downtown. Shut down some of these gas stations and liquor stores that have become breeding grounds for our babies to get shot down like you do those businesses on Black Friday downtown Chicago.
That's that piece.
Yeah, that's that piece, y'all. That's that piece.
That's a part of that piece. I didn't want to do the whole thing, but yeah, that's
That's why I was.
Yeah, that's a part of the piece. I'm gonna play it. I want to fast forward in this to another poem he did, which is called "Get Your Knee Off of My Neck." And so let me just move forward in that, as I think it's pertinent, right, with what's going on right now.
Your knee off my neck. I can't breathe. Get your knee off my neck. I can't breathe. You keep forcing my head into the concrete, pushing me to the brink of this, cutting off my air. This can't be fair. I can't breathe. Get your knee off my neck. 400 years of disrespect. Inequality and it's bothering me, but you ain't listening. The only time you seem to pay attention is when I break something. But you're too blind to see that this is live on TV. Unscramble the line, straighten the intent. Let's go back to 1619 Virginia, America. This is what stepped on slave ships and stepped on the auction block. Sold to the highest bidder like livestock. Since that moment, we've been playing on 2 separate fields to 2 different clocks. And you got the nerve to use your stopwatch. How am I ever going to catch?
Yeah, so that was a live show, right? And during that live show, we had
a brief technical
interruption, right? And just like things happen, right? But let me just show you how God works, right? And so we picked this back up in the recording. We picked this back up around here. And then let me get it. Now, so let me set the context. He was in the car driving, saying this piece. You heard what he said. He stopped on stopwatch, right? That's what. Now he's gotten to his location. He's in front of his computer, right? He's changed clothes, and look where he picks up at.
Auction block. Sold to the highest bidder like livestock. Since that moment, We've been playing on 2 separate fields to 2 different clocks.
I'm sorry.
Paul gave him his armor to put on, and David was like, "Man, I can't even walk with all this stuff
He's
on."
coming. Give it about
And he went
another
out there
30
with
seconds.
a slingshot, and a rock, and we know as the story goes. Then he went on to be a king and fought many battles and won many wars as a king, and he has still many travails as a human and as a man. And so, Black, if you want to finish that piece, I want to do that, but then I want to come back and talk about, because you've got some pieces on your website that talk about some other decisions, right?
Yeah.
That you made. You know, I've been married before. I've had pregnancies that didn't get through. I've made decisions that didn't support a higher way of being. Like I say, I want to live now. So I'm no perfect man, and I want to get, because I think some Black men can hear some of the stuff we can talk about on that piece. But come back to that piece for me, man, because you was right at the stopwatch and everybody was holding their breath.
Here we go, y'all. Here we go.
And you got the nerve to use your stopwatch. Back then, you made it unlawful for us to read. And now you're trying to make it unlawful for us to breathe. To get your knee off my neck, I can't breathe. Then in 1863, we thought that we were freed, but they denied our freedom for 2 more years. This is why we celebrate Juneteenth, our Independence Day. Let's fast forward to May 31st, 1921. A mob of white men with guns and white sheets burned down over 35 square blocks of Black-owned businesses and over 35 homes in what would later be known as Black Wall Street. And you wonder why the unemployment is so high in my community. It's because of that knee. Get your knee off my neck. I can't breathe. The odds have been against us since the day that we were born. And some of these racists have traded in their white sheets for black robes, suits and ties, and police uniforms. Let me clarify. All cops are not bad cops. But when you stand there, look at your watch for 8 minutes and 46 seconds go past, knee on neck, I can't breathe, a crime is being committed, then the good cop becomes just as guilty as the bad cop. As a matter of fact, that makes you an accessory. I think you love to see Black men wearing accessories like hands and cuffs and chains. Since slavery, we've been beaten, whipped, handcuffed, and chained, and this is a stain on America's history. But when will it change? America, you still haven't acknowledged your original sin. And the reason why America was so great back then is because we were your human cotton gin. So when you say, let's make America great again, are you saying that you want us to go back to picking your cotton again for free? We had no choice because of your knee. This is something that you tried so hard to avoid. Well, damn it, today we want justice from Emmett Till to Jacob Blake to George Floyd. Get your knee off my neck. I can't breathe. We won't stop or pause until there's been a change in American culture followed by new laws. We built this country with our blood, sweat, and tears. Died on the battlefield fighting your wars, and at the end of the day, this country is just as much mine as it is yours. That's that piece.
Yeah, that's that piece, y'all. That's that piece. Get your knee off my neck. Now, when we recorded that episode, that was October. And who knew? Yes, Nia Sinner. Who knew that we'd find out? And that was it. Not only 8:46, but add almost another minute to that, right? And so, the trial is still going on, and so we'll see what the jury comes back with. I'm praying that it's in the way that I believe it should be, and I don't know, right? I don't know, and so get your knee off my neck. And so you've seen, over the last several months, people with those shirts. I've even seen some of the masks with "Get your knee off my neck" or "I can't breathe," and just so many Black Lives Matter. I'm here in the D.C. area, and driven when I first moved, went to some neighborhoods, and you got whole neighborhoods where in the lawn they've got signs of windows and placards. They've got the plaza plated, the Black Lives Matter plaza, and many cities across the country have done that. And they shot a kid last weekend. So, you know, and as we've heard in these poems, we're building up, right, to a point. We've heard in these poems that a lot really hasn't changed. Right? The commitment to the oppressor's commitment has remained strong. And it's no one individual that's going to have a whole oppressor, nation, community, civilization be different, but one individual linked with another individual linked with another. I mean, if you're familiar with the story of Mahatma Gandhi, right, and the movement that he started really in South Africa, right? Now, you know, and I just learned this recently about Cher, you know, so he was on a train, he was a lawyer, he was in an elite class, you know, he's riding first class, you know, went to one of the better law schools, you know, he's a businessman, good lawyer, and he's riding the train. And one of the train employees, like the train conductor or whatever, ticket taker, whatever, comes and sees him in the first class cabin. He's like, "What are you doing up here? You can't be up here." And so Mahatma Gandhi shows him his ticket, his first class ticket. And as the story goes, they put him off the train. And he spent the night in the train station. And he had a chance to reflect. Because at that time he was the British had oppressed and dominated so many different societies and countries, and India was one, and their presence and their foothold was strong. Right? I mean, you couldn't even grow spices or do anything with spices that come from India unless you paid money to Britain. I mean, this is not a history lesson, but the point is, he said, what can I do to have it different? So that's the question we ask. For those that are listening, if you only hear this part, if you only remember this part, what can you do? And better yet, what will you do? What will you do? All right, y'all. So, you know, I want to, you know, I'm also an artist, right? You know, you see, I share poetry and prose, and many of them are inspirational. And you know, somebody said, "Hey, Mark, you know, you're so scripture based, right?" It was this the Gandhian Salt March. Millions followed him to protest the salt tax. Yes, it's an amazing story. Now, when I was in school, I'll just go back to that. What I learned about Gandhi picks up when he was wearing the loincloth. He had already done a couple of hunger strikes, right? And you know, that's what pretty much what they taught us, right? Now, they didn't teach us the how it started, where it came from, which was the oppression, right? And then he did, I think one of his first hunger strikes was against his own people, right? In rebellion to the Indians that were discriminating against what they were calling untouchables. Right? And so, you know, the story just going, it's really an amazing story. And later in his sojourn, he released all of his world. Now, mind you, people were given money and all sorts of things to support this movement. He walked in this salt march. And I won't give you all the details, but he walked, I think, about 200 miles. As he kept walking, he kept picking up, and he kept picking up, and he kept picking up. So the question is, what are you willing to do? I promise you it makes a difference. I promise you it matters. I promise if you don't, nothing will change. And maybe that's okay with you. But if it's not okay with you, then the request is to really dig deeply and honestly to say, what will I do to have something be different because I did it? Okay. So I want to share a piece with you all, a piece that I wrote, and it was, along the same lines as what we've been hearing, and it's called Black Lives Matter with a question mark. Black Lives Matter. And when I wrote this, I was, similar to right now, in a position where I was just really in a lot of turmoil, and inner turmoil around. Do I matter? Does will things ever be different? Is there hope? Just a lot of emotions and swirling going on. Even though I'm a person of big faith and believe in action to go along with that faith, I still had doubts, or I still had fears. I had these things in my stomach that were just churning, and I find myself just holding my head or grabbing my heart because the emotional turmoil that I was experiencing was overwhelming at that point. And so what art for me is a divine download that comes to me, and I write it for me. Now I share it with others, right? And but I don't share it with the expectation that others that hear it will like it, agree, approve, or anything of that nature. And once I really got to that place that if this thing came to me divinely, it came to me for a reason, and it is not my job to determine what that reason is or to assess it. It's just my job to be in action. Right? And so that's the space where I create from, right? The space of what's divinely downloaded, and I share it in the way that was divinely downloaded. And so many times people do resonate with it, and sometimes maybe they don't. And that's okay. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Is that a fact? I mean, let's start with what does it even mean to be from that side of the tracks? Where they build subpar housing and barely invest in our schools? Where crime rates run rampant and there seems to be a plethora of activity of fools? Maybe it means that the color of our skin prevents us from getting in, unless you got that hue that allows you to pass. Except for when you see yourself in that looking glass. It means driving really slow through them small towns where they'd be waiting behind a bush, setting the trap to get you strapped, whipped, and hung like Emmett Till before being shot with a gun. Then wrapped in chicken wire and fed to the fish. Man, it seems like dying is way worse than living with all this anguish. What does it mean to be black in the 21st century? We got the right to vote, and yet we be the same thing that is the opposite of free. We feel oppressed and neglected, and our women are still subjected. Our kids, many of them are lost, and black unity, their minds have rejected. Wages are still less, and our health situation, well, that's a fucking mess. For justice, we still fight, and change is only slight. It's like in 1921 when Tulsa was destroyed by hatred, fires, and shotguns. You see, we had a brief period of liberation and financial success for about 30 years before they put an end to that mess. They emptied our bank accounts. They burned our businesses and trampled on our pride. I mean, they set blacks running in a frenzy all over the country just to stay alive. Blacks was doing very, very well. But history, that part don't really tell. From St. Louis to Detroit and Chicago in the early 1900s, all of it just turned into a living hell. Black Lives Matter. Since when is that a fact? I mean, how can Black Lives Matter when even many black folks don't recognize what it means to be black? I mean, am I a color like a crayon in a box? Am I a Negro or a black fox? Or am I an American where only 3/4 of a human was bought? Or am I African when all my tradition and heritage has been stripped from my thoughts? What I am, it seems, is in the midst of confusion. And sometimes I feel like the song says, it's just an illusion. I mean, my skin is brown, my skin is dark, my skin is light. I got ancestors' blood of slaves and masters alike. I got traditions as old as Mother Earth herself. I got a history that established original humanity and the birthplace of all wealth. I mean, I got a memory that crosses all the 7 seas. I'm black, and I'm learning what it means to be me. Black lives matter? Hell yes, that's a fact. As long as we keep living, and long, long after that, black lives will continue to impact everything. And my life, your life, reflects that. That's that piece. That's that piece. Yes, I see you, Nia Center. What will I do to have the world be different? What will I do to have the world be different? Because we got it in us. We got it in us. Man, this has been an amazing show. I had no idea how this thing was going to turn out. Some things that come to me to do. And I had some other things. I tried to move in a different direction, and it just kept coming back. And so I'm going to trust that it's coming back for a reason. And whether you've been here the whole show, whether you've seen a part of it, whether you've just seen a comment, that was for you. Yeah, that was for you. And again, what will I do to have the world be different? Now, I want to get ready to close the show. And, the Nia Center, Nia means intent and purpose. That's that piece, Kenny Stevie. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, brother. Means intent and purpose. It's a ethical interfaith and social justice center, right? And so we welcome all traditions, all beliefs. And we really have 3 pillars which we build our programming and activities on. Educate, engage, and empower. Nia means intent and purpose. And so we want to educate, engage, and empower people around intent and purpose. Thank you, Mama. Thank you, Mama. And so support us, right? We need your support. When I said, what will you do to have it be different? This is part of what we're doing now. There's other things that we do too. We do Sacred Space Sundays on Sundays. As a matter of fact, next Sunday, which is that next, but in a few days, on April the 4th, we got that as April the 1st there, but on April the 4th is Sacred Space Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, right here on the same channel. Wherever you're watching that right now, you can see Sacred Space Sunday. For some, you call it Easter Sunday. Some call it Resurrection Sunday. Some call it Sunday just get together with the family and hide eggs and get baskets. And I was talking to my kids today. I was just wanting to understand what some of the traditions and what do they do, or whether they celebrate it, acknowledge it, what does it mean to them. And I heard all sorts of things, right? But I think at the center of it, it's around what I heard, regardless of what their traditions or practice was, they get together and they enjoy each other. Right. Now, the topic that I'm leading the discussion, no. Now, most of the time, if you've been in a traditional Christian church or around Easter Sunday and the Sunday before that, which they call Palm Sunday, you'll hear excerpts of the scriptures are around that last night when Jesus was in the garden and praying and his friends fell asleep on him and they ended up, denying them and all that kind of stuff. You'll hear about that. But I want to talk about it from a different perspective. No. You think about that time when something's happened in your life and you're like, no. Right? But that's what we're going to deal with on Sunday at 11 a.m. Join us. It's an interfaith conversation. We welcome all traditions. We're not looking to convince and convert. We're looking to simply share, right? Simply share, right? And we're going to give you, we have a formula that is standard. Insight plus application equals results. Insight plus application equals results. So regardless of your tradition, we just gave you some insight and conversation and talk, whether we share some ancient text, some ancient wisdom, or whatever it was. Then here is a tip. If you apply this tip, you will create some results in your life. Guaranteed, regardless of your tradition or belief, whether you say you have a faith or don't have a faith, insight plus application equals results. And it's not tied to your tradition. So join us for Sacred Space Sunday. Also, you follow us on Twitch. If you haven't followed us on Twitch, follow us on Twitch. And matter of fact, shout out to my man DJ C Sharp. Shout out to DJ C Sharp. It's his birthday. It's his 50th birthday today, right? Today. I don't know how often it seems like the weird things are happening when people's birthdays and in the calendar. Certainly today when we went to school and one of the kids they say, it's April Fool's Day, and I said, you better not play no jokes on me because I'm not with that. Right. DJ C Sharp, yeah, he's actually, I believe, on now. He's doing an extended broadcast or mixing and raising money for autism and in support of something that's near and dear to his heart. And so if you like good music, right, I think he's an awesome DJ. He has so much variety and he knows how to just keep it moving. And it's grown folk enjoyment. It's grown, but he's not limited to grown folks. He has it all. I've heard him mix go gospel right now. Yeah, go. I didn't even know there was such a thing. Go gospel. So DJ C Sharp, happy birthday. We love you, brother. So please check him out. Now, we want to send blessings of oneness, love, and joy. So if you got some people or persons or it's you that wants a blessing and you want some prayers or some thoughts, please just put their name in the chat, right? Put their name in the chat. And I'll give you time because I know you're hearing this a little bit later than I'm saying it. But anybody, an organization, a place, it doesn't have to be anything specific. Just put their name in the chat. And so as you're doing this, and I want to include those that have, I want to take this moment to move to those that have come before us, right? Those that have come before us. And many of us may refer to as ancestors, right? As our ancestors, right? They once walked this physical realm we call Earth and a human body that had a name associated that we're familiar with. And they no longer do that. And there's a belief for some folks that when that happens, that they refer to those folks as the ancestors, right? Because there's a belief in many traditions that says spirit never dies, and so their physical bodies have left this place, but their spirit still lives and still is present, right? Because once energy is created, it never goes away, and so we're able to tap into that, just like you've heard references in different things in the Bible. They tapped into the ancestors. They called Moses the ancestor, right? Or Abraham, or for many, Gandhi is their ancestor, right? And so I call on all of them. If they align with what I'm up to, come on and help me out, right? Now I believe there is one divine, right? And I believe there are many paths. Now, look, what I want to say, I want to close this with one of the most powerful poems that I've ever heard. It's called an elegy to George Floyd. Now, an elegy, that word is ELEGY. An elegy is a poem of serious reflection, right? A poem of serious reflection. And typically, it's a lament for the ancestors, those who have already made their physical transition. And in this case, this particular poem, a guest of mine, Dr. O, who I told you is a professor at the University of Virginia, who originally born in Africa, came over to America as a young child. Mother homeschooled him after the KKK traumatized him at their school, the elementary school. His mama pulled him out of school and his brother out of school and homeschooled him, and they both went on to go to Harvard and are making significant contributions in the world here today. And so Dr. Oludamini, like he says, his students call him Dr. O, and so we're going to call him Dr. O. His name will be on the screen as we share it. And I want to close the show just in reflection to George Floyd, right? Many of us are seeing the trial of the officer that kept his knee on his neck for 9/29, hence the show title, 9/29. And I think it's just an appropriate way to bring this all together. Again, before we move into it, the question that was posed is, hopefully you've been entertained, maybe you've been inspired. And the question that we give is, what will you do? What will you do to have something be different? And everybody can do something. Everybody can do something. It takes one grain of sand to come together with another grain of sand to eventually make millions of grains of sand that we call beach. And it starts with one grain of sand. The ocean starts with one drop of water. What will you do to have it be different? Let's go ahead and featuring Dr. O, an elegy to George Floyd.
So just a very, very brief background on it. This elegy is written in the form of classical Arabo-Islamic qasida. It's written by West African authors in Arabic or sometimes in African languages like Hausa or Yoruba. So there's a particular format to it. It starts out with the image of natural scenery, goes through description of the person who was killed, what happened to them, and then ends with a kind of call to action and a prayer. And that's typical of these elegies, particularly in West Africa. All right. An elegy for George Floyd. Did lightning just flash from the far northern plains, or is it thunder crying out with their names? Is it from recalling our beloved slain, that tears mix with blood in the hot, heavy rain? Or has the tear gas on the smoke southern breeze brought news of strange fruit from new mace perfumed trees? Is that dawn in the west, or the midnight firelight? Has the sun finally set on this nightmarish life? Red sky at morning, old soldiers take warning. You strike a rock, and the earth quakes in mourning. The long night withheld its sweet sleep from me. Like grains in my eyes are the bitter killings. His murder made even the driest eyes weep, the heartless of this age ripe with misery. Our tears fell like rain as vast as the seas, but vanish in their desert sympathy. How then to write for George elegy? My only ink's tears, my papers burning. My grief has made me a pillar of salt. The waters run out, but the sobs will not halt. On God, I'll mourn you as long as there's talking, as long as the flesh of my bones moves with longing. How can I praise you when we cannot breathe? When there are no more words, what words do we need? Bring music, light fires, let them see us bleed. What can we say now except, now you fly free? He cried for his dead, because the living were deaf. But where were you, God, at his hard last breath? We are closer to him, but you do not see. I was sick, you ain't visit, hungry, nothing to eat. And dying, you choked me till I couldn't breathe. But what of the murderous devil, his knee? Take refuge from all such dark shadows in me. God, your lovers are fine, but your fan club's a mess, and I'm honestly not too sure about the rest. The earth's choked with so much injustice and greed. Where is there left any humanity? What shrouds can we stitch with shreds of decency? Is it only in death that we can be free? There's none like him in life, and there never will be, but in death he joins a vast company. Ahmad, Brianna, Trayvon, and Sandra, Philando and Alton, Atatiana, Amadou, Omar, Fumi, Adama, Biko, Cabral, Emmett, Lumumba, Brefu, Bookman, Makandal, Dandara, Tamir, Tony, David, Walter, Mujinga, Taki and Jati, Buna, Eliza, Michael and Eric, our mothers and fathers, Huey, Fred Medgar, and Malcolm and Martin. Millions more names lost, but they not forgotten. For you I will weep as long as doves cry, as long as the stars and the moon in the sky brighten the way of a kind passerby, as long as the truth stands out from the lies, as long as there's water and light in their eyes, and warmth in a hug, soft strength in our thighs. I'll never make peace with your enemies. There's no truce for light with shadows of fleas. We fight and we struggle. How? By any means. Till the suns burn to ashes, all cold and unseen. Till we reach that home where life's just a dream. What we do to you, death, that you do us like this? I know life's unfair, but where's your justice? My heart's well of tears is rising higher. They toss bodies in. Our souls catch fire. They trample and curse, spit shit all on ours. And just like the earth, we keep feeding them flowers. It seems some evils even time can't devour, because they refuse to repent till the hour. Time's gnawed at this wound and bit me and cut. It's about damn time. Even hell says enough. No doubt we'll beat those who've forgotten defeat. Their bloody idols are perched on clay feet. Their idols all stained by the lives of the meek as they sacrifice us for their cannibal feasts. Their laws and their order are causes of murder. The jaws of their jails filled with dreamers deferred. The big house is built on our ancestors' bones, bricks baked with their blood, sweat mortars each stone. What ghouls could ever call such places home? Only the most hungry, amnesiac ghosts. But with all of these bodies in the wall, his house built on crimes is bound to soon fall. Like Ad and Thamud, like Rome, Babylon, this piled up dust will be scattered and gone. God bless all those brave and desperate souls thrown out in the fields, shivering in the cold. Nothing left to lose, no more fucks to give. They give all the fire to stand up and live. The comfortable kneel and pray for taut peace, but real ones are out here stirring up a breeze. I envy the birds, I envy the trees. They've never seen such from their own species. Our hearts are broken, now smash theirs diseased. Return them to form or destroy the donkeys. Come down now, Moses. Your people are dying. Ditch the palace, come run with the lions. There's no time to wait, no place for hiding. Kick off your shoes and come take us flying. Part the waters, make Sinai's climb. Bring down the light and the fire this time. You were sent as mercy to the red and the black. Now our black blood runs red from the stripes on our backs, from the blows of the pharaohs, warlocks, and their staffs. Deaf, dumb, and blind, will they never go back? Intercede now and heal us, they're on the attack. Have we not always sheltered the people of Hak? They lie in our skins, dance and feast on our pain, and then pretend to care, liars without shame. Their faces like death, armored, masked in hate, the legion Christ cast into pigs now renamed. God give us the strength and please keep us sane. Please grant us justice and keep us humane. From Oakland to Addis, London to Brisbane, we ask by our best, your mightiest name. Have mercy upon all of our friends slain by poverty, hate, by illness and cane. They're not dead but living in skies and our veins. Bless all our mothers, our sisters in pain. Bless our fathers and our brothers in chains. Bless all those who stand with us not for fame, and grant us a good end, free of any shame. But now we'll still shout and still dance and still sing the desperate joy of the last human beings. Did lightning just flash from the far northern plains, or is it thunder crying out in our pain? And that's that verse.
That's that piece, y'all. That's that piece. That's that piece, y'all. That's that piece. An elegy for George Floyd. An elegy for George Floyd. What an incredible show tonight. Thank you all who tuned in, who gave me your energy, your time, your thoughts, your whatever, your prayers, your hopes, your wishes, right? Hopefully that you're with the question that was asked, and I'll put that up one more quick time before we go off. What will you do to have the world be different? We're waiting on you. We can't do it without, it can't be done without you. Not the person next to you, the person behind you, the person that you know who you think can get it done, but you. I need you. We need you. The world needs you. You know what? As I choose to call him, God needs you. You got it. ALLVERSE Thursdays, every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here. Twitch.tv/Nia Center. YouTube Nia Center channel. Facebook Nia Center group. ALLVERSE group. Catch us wherever you catch us. Share the record. If you see the recording in any of those places, share it with your page, please. Particularly tonight, right? Like the hashtag, what will you do? What will you do to have the world be different? It's time, y'all. It's time. I thank you. I'm grateful. I'm honored to be in this space. God, thank you for all that you have done, all that you are doing, all that will be manifested through us because of the you in us. Thank you for the absolute greatness, for the absolute love, the absolute power, the absolute ability to create something from nothing. The source of all and anything that is in me. It's in you. It's in us. Therefore, we have that ability to tap into that source, to access that abundance. We're not just talking finance. We're talking about abundance and whatever, in health and in love and in joy, in relationships and knowing that because you love and you care for us dearly and deeply, you want only the best for us. If we only trust. If we only trust. So God help me to trust and be in action without the expectation or the anticipation or the holding on to of what the result's supposed to look like. But to be in action and trusting that you will show me through my actions what the next action is. And then what the next action is. And that I'll say, cover all those who wanted blessings of oneness, love, and joy. Just cover them, send them some peace, some joy. Send them a phone call that maybe they hadn't heard from somebody in a long time. Send them a message that let them know that they're loved and that they're cared for, that their trials won't last forever. That a season and a reason, but not for eternity, right? And so, Lord, you know that person that the relationship, that the void that's there, and Lord, they got all these questions of why, Lord, and Lord, I ask that you just give them some peace. And Lord, whether you tell them why or not, Lord, that you show them and you steer them in a direction that I got something for you. I got something greater for you. If you just trust me, if you go out, if you don't stay back into what you thought and what you remembered and what it used to be and what the last one and all of that. And just move forward because I've got something really, really amazing for you. Let somebody know that today. And thank you. Amen. And so it is. Oh. My condolences, Valerie. My condolences. 9:29. As we held our hands up in the air in solidarity for the amount of time that Officer Sharman's knee was in the neck of George Floyd as he laid with his handcuffs behind his back, face down in the concrete. 9:29. If you joined in late, maybe you'll get an opportunity. Reverend Al Sharpton asked folks earlier to get on one knee and stay on that one knee for 9:29. I asked folks to just put their hand up and fist in the air in solidarity for justice, right? For peace, for the courage to do what I can to have it be different. And if you haven't done it, I ask you to do it, right? Because whether you do it during this broadcast or do it at another time, the fact that you did it creates something. So maybe holding your hand in the air, solidarity for 9:29 will be that thing that you can do that creates the catalyst to have something be different. And with that said, man, ALLVERSE Thursdays, it's a joy and it's a pleasure to be here with you. Every time I get blessed. Every time I have so much fun. My man texted me the other day after the show. He said, "Hey, man, all that energy you got, what's going on? What they gonna drug test you on Twitch? Man, you got too much energy." But when you're doing something that you're good at, that you enjoy, and that's divinely driven, I don't know how else you would show up. I don't imagine, I'm going to get closer to this. I don't imagine Jesus when he was doing all those great things that we read about in the stories, right? Or that he wasn't pumped up. He wasn't charged. Man, we just healed 70,000 people. We just fed 5,000 people. We just turned water to wine. They had an awesome time. Man, shoot. You ain't excited about your gift. Better get excited because we need you. ALLVERSE Thursdays, y'all.